All right, welcome into a live Hoops Cap Pod Sweet 16 preview. I'm in my studio, but our very intrepid reporter Bella Tomaino is in Spokane with the women, and I'm not even going to do a full intro. Like, tell me about the vibe right now out west.
Right now, feeling good. As on my walk to inside the arena, a lot of UConn fans, which is always a good sign. Didn't get a glimpse of the court yet. UCLA is having a closed practice right now, but once I head out there, I think it's going to be a pretty big UConn crowd. So all the way from the East Coast, I feel like UConn always travels well, and I feel like the vibes are good right now. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like we're on a good streak here.
Yeah, no, it's kind of wild. It's the rematch of the 2002 national championship. Oklahoma has never beaten UConn in their history. They're 0-13. And
Yes.
just before UConn fans give me the don't jinx us stuff, I think it's a little easier like to kind of give those stats on the women's side, especially as almost it's now 15.5 point favorite.
Yes.
How do you feel about, like, you were there for the send off? How does the teams feel to you in terms of, seems like they're pretty loose?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. A lot of smiles, which we always see that from this team. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest motivating factor right now is winning it for Paige. We've seen it in all the press conferences. Even AZ, obviously, somebody like AZ still has yet to win a national championship. Everybody on the team has yet to win one, and I think that main focus is sending Paige out on a high note. I mean, even Gino. We know how Gino is. Yes, he has close relationships with the players, but he is very, to the point. He's not gonna give anybody, any free passes, but you could tell the emotions are high in that regard. I think it's yesterday just came out officially that Paige is declaring, and it's no news that we didn't already know and expect. But I would say I like that we're loose. The only thing that I'm worried about is just that overlooking that Oklahoma team, overlooking USC because of Juju's injury. This isn't a free pass. You know what I'm saying? This is still very much going to be a game. I talked about it. We kind of briefly spoke about it on Thursday, just talking about how, in my opinion, Oklahoma is a really quality opponent. They played
the
19th toughest schedule in the NCAA this season, and they've won 8 quad 1 games. That's nothing to sneeze at. Undefeated in quad 2 through 4. So I do think that this game needs to. It's not that they're not going to take it seriously. Every game that Gino coaches, every game that this team plays is serious. But I think that this game, I want them to really dissect and really take notice of, because Oklahoma's a solid opponent.
Yeah, no, I think what you're alluding to is, like, it's human nature. It's human nature to go, like, even though Paige reached out to Juju and we had that story about, like, they're wishing her well, and we all do. It's just a terrible thing to happen. But it's also human nature to kind of go, oh man, like, we don't have to deal with her now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's also human nature for competitors to look past. I know I used to do this. Like, if you look at a draw, like, that's how tennis players are. You look at a tournament and you're like, oh, I can get the 2 seed here, I get the 3 seed there, and you start to kind of, sometimes your mind wanders, and then you don't. Then all of a sudden you're down in a game, and you're like, wait a minute, I should be beating this person. So I can totally relate to that. However, I have never been coached by a Hall of Famer like Gino Auriemma. So to kind of get locked back into where I need to be, I fully expect this team to do that and to focus on what's on the line here. Like what we're talking about is, obviously you're there, but the rebounding that Oklahoma has been able to assess, albeit against lesser opponents, is a record for 2 games in the NCAA tournament. 68 a game. I think the number is 136 in 2 games. Let's see what that is. Yep, 136 total boards, most in a 2-game span in NCAA history, 68 rebounds per game. What that tells me is they're physical. They're going to, be tough with UConn. UConn's had issues with getting rebounds in more quad one games like they did against Tennessee. Not so much against South Carolina, the best game they played all year, but Notre Dame, some other ones, even the USC game. So is that a concern? And do you think that they're gonna the onus is like to have more of the guards come down, like Ashlyn Shade, like KK Arnold, to help with this rebounding, because they're going to be undersized to a certain extent with Riley Beers and others.
Yeah, I do think that having some guard help is going to be beneficial, but always, KK Arnold and Ashton, I feel like, are always in the mix. They're always diving for loose balls, loose rebounds. So I think they'll stick to that same similar game plan and definitely amplify it a little bit more. Now, the thing that scares me is at the beginning of the season, this was more of an issue. It hasn't been as prevalent as the season progressed.
Right.
Jana needs to stay out of foul trouble. If Jana gets into foul trouble, listen, I like Ice Brady. I like Ice. I think she's definitely on an upslope after coming back from injury. Definitely figured things out a little bit more, giving more quality minutes. But if Jana somehow gets 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes or even 7 minutes of the game, even in the first half, that can be that. And again, not one factor is going to say, okay, that's where the game really changed, but that could be really where things go wrong for UConn. I think if Janice stays out of foul trouble, I think things will be fine. But if things go a little bit differently and she does get a few quick ones, that's when we have to we're gonna have to really reassess and figure something out.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that it'll be interesting how they use Sarah tonight to maybe draw some of the bigs away from the hoop, but also to kind of to showcase her full talents, because if Sarah wants to be an elite rebounder and not essentially be the leading scorer on a team, she can do that. Like whatever. Yeah. It's kind of like we joked around about this, about Gino at the beginning of the year said, Sarah's got like an open, a blank canvas. She can do whatever she wants, and that's what she'll be. If today she says, I'm going to be, I'm going to date myself, but to be Dennis Rodman and I'm going to get every rebound on the planet, then she could do that. And that would help this kind of rebounding deficiency that they potentially could face. But
yeah, I believe she.
Yeah, I think, but to your point, she also has to watch out for foul trouble. These haven't been issues that UConn has faced. And that's probably, I'm glad you brought that up, the only thing that deters them from running away from Oklahoma today is if they do get into foul trouble.
Absolutely. And I think the one strong thing that I've noticed is Oklahoma's not super careful with the ball. They average about 18 turnovers a game. UConn really capitalized against South Dakota State. 35 points off turnovers last game. That's the thing that's this thing. If UConn can stay out of foul trouble, and continue to, stem off of the defense that KK Arnold brings, and same thing with Ashlyn Shade, and really build off of what they did in that second quarter and on, I don't think this is a game. But again, there are so many factors. It depends. Are they prepared mentally? I do think they are. I don't think they're going to overlook this team, and I sound like a broken record, but Gino Auriemma is the winningest coach for a reason, and they're no stranger to success in this game. They lost, I think it was 2 years ago. Paige was out on her ACL in the Sweet 16 game. That's going to happen, right? You don't have really your best player at the time. I think we have, to date, our best team in the last couple of years. The only other thing that stands out a little bit is nobody on this team has faced Oklahoma besides Aubrey Griffin. Last time they faced Oklahoma was regular season, December 22nd, 2019. Aubrey Griffin had 14 points. We've said Gino was keeping Aubrey in his back pocket a little bit. Maybe today can be the game for Aubrey. Obviously, that was 6 years ago. So much has changed. The teams are totally different. Olivia Nelson-Adota was on that team. Kristen Williams. So it's not anywhere near the same type of opponent. But sometimes familiarity to a school helps. So again, it's a little bit of, it could be a little bit raw in that first 5 minutes. Just kind of figuring out and getting our bearings. That's the only thing I see happening.
No, it's also a great point, because in the thumbnail that I put out, I made sure I put Aubrey Griffin in it, because I do feel like if UConn is to do what I think they're going to do and cover this spread and pull away eventually from Oklahoma, I think it's going to be because they do it defensively, and because Aubrey Griffin and KK Arnold come in and essentially do what you said, which is exceed those 18 turnovers or get around those, or maybe get some key turnovers that takes a 7-point lead to a 20-point lead.
Right.
I've literally called UConn's defense like compound interest, right? Where you put money in the bank and all of a sudden $5 becomes $35. So that's how I feel about this team. Things mushroom, right? And so I'm really looking forward to that. One thing I will ask you, do you think there's Paige has always quoted Kobe Bryant, the late, great Kobe Bryant. I'm not saying this was done to slight her, but the greats always make up controversies in their head for extra motivation. In the pregame press conference, when everyone got there, I don't know the Oklahoma guard who said it. Riley Beers was next to her. She was right in the middle. There was three players there. And they asked about Paige. And she kind of casually said, well, we play in the SEC, and there's a lot of great guards in the SEC. All true, very benign comments. But I tweeted about it and I said, I could see Paige looking at that and going, "Okay, bet. You think you're ready for me because you played in the SEC? I think you might be wrong." So, do you see that as a motivating factor for someone like Paige Bueckers, who, as we know, is uber competitive?
Absolutely. You look at any of the greats. What happened when people talk trash to Tom Brady? Played better. Same thing.
And Bella, just to be clear, like I'm not even saying she was talking trash. You know what I mean? Like I think that Paige looks at that, or someone sends it to her and she goes, "Who the F is this girl trying to say that I'm the same as these chicks from the SEC?" There's no way.
And a lot of times, in my opinion, a lot of these SEC guards are like copy and paste of each other. They play like the exact same role. Paige Bueckers has a lot in her bag, and we talk about untapped potential. We finally saw what she is capable of against South Dakota. And let me tell you, Gino says when Paige is aggressive, that's when they play their best basketball. Today, she's going to come out guns a-blazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's going to come out shooting shots. She was 14 of 21 from the field last week. 14 of 21. She's so efficient. And she's been efficient. And I think at this point in time, like you said, why? And yeah, she's not talking trash, but why light a fire under somebody? There's just no point, right? Sometimes you got to say, give flowers where flowers are due. Paige Bueckers deserves it. Yeah, she hasn't won a championship yet, but her numbers speak for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Her numbers are plenty to put her in a top tier category.
Before we go, and this is going to be a quick one, is I want to let you get back and soak up all the ambiance of being at the Sweet 16 and eventually get on the floor and all that stuff. But
for sure,
if I was the coach of Oklahoma, Jenny Barancic, and I saw that and I heard that response, even if it was like, I know she means well, I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, like don't like why.
There's no need for it.
Just say, Paige is a great player, and we're really looking forward to playing her.
Exactly.
That's it.
And literally, there's no point in saying something unnecessary. And yeah, like it's not talking trash, but it's petty, Mark. Let's be real. It's petty. Yeah. And we both, we not at this level, but you, yes, professionally in tennis. For me, I've never played at a level of like this. But in any game, I've said some petty things about some great players, and sometimes it's more mental for you to say, okay, like we've seen these. Sometimes you need to almost fake it till you make it. So in your brain, you don't realize, hey, like we're playing one of the best players in the country, and it doesn't psych you out. But again, there's just no need to light a fire under somebody that is as competitive as Paige. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. That's a great catch. Let
me tell you something, because you brought something up that makes me laugh, and I'm just going to tell a quick story, and it's very self-deprecating, and then I'm going to get your prediction, and then we're going to go. I was playing my sophomore year of college, and we were at Hilton Head on spring break playing tennis, getting matches, and I started the week off 2-0, and I went into that third match cocky as all get out, because it was a team I'd never heard of, and I don't even remember the name of the college. And I was just like, to one of my buddies, I was like, make sure the cameras are recording the match. Yeah. And I got destroyed, like 6-2, 6-1 in like 25 minutes, and like I got off the court and I was so pissed off. But because I was overconfident versus just going in and being like, I'm just going to play my game and kick that person's ass, like whatever. And I know that girl is not being overconfident. I know that, but I do know the term "let sleeping dogs lie," and I didn't do that. And I'm pretty sure the person heard me talking shit before the match, so they were like, "Okay, we're gonna find out." And I went home with the L. So be careful what you wish for. In other words, right? On the to harken back, I'm sure we have 87 people watching all over our channel, so I'm sure there's some people who remember last year during the NCAA tournament when team after team said that about UConn when they beat Big Ten teams on the men's side. Oh, yeah, we've seen good teams on the men's side. And then it was like, really? Like Illinois, 30-0 run? You sure? So, again, be careful what you wish for. I think Paige is going to have a monster game. All right.
I think so, and I hope so.
We're going to let you go. Before we do that, what's your prediction? You're there. And then I'll give you mine, and we'll call it a day.
I'm going to go UConn 79, Oklahoma 65.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
I like it. I don't know why that it's speaking to me. I feel confident again that UConn's going to get the win. Again, Oklahoma's just you don't want to overlook them. I don't think they're going to run away with it right away, but I do think they'll break away as the game goes on, and then it'll kind of come to a mute point. I see the margin being anywhere between an 8 to a 20-point win, no more, no less. I know that's a little bit broad, but that's the way I see it. 79 to 65, book it.
I have it at 88 to 67. I think UConn's defense kind of shuts this team down and creates a lot of turnovers. I don't think it's going to get crazy like where they're up 30, 40 points, but I do think, to your point, I feel like we're talking like combination. I do feel like they're going to have hovering around where the spread is 14 to 15 points. And then I think as the game wears on, it's going to get back up to a larger spread and maybe get a little closer down to 18, 16 points. But that's my prediction. It's really not being overconfident. This team is playing the best basketball of its year. And this team averages 18 turnovers a game. If they manage the rebounding, if Paige is Paige, if Sarah is Sarah, and AZ is AZ, we win this game going away.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say too is the reason why I do feel like pretty confident going into this way too, just quickly, is most of the time I'll be like when we play a good opponent, when we played South Carolina, when we had to play Notre Dame early on in the season, obviously AZ wasn't there. I almost feel I say to myself, we really need Sarah, AZ, and Paige. I think if we can get just all we need, I think is 2. You know what I'm saying? If we can get two of those 3, and that's why I think makes me a little more confident. If I said 3, I think I'd be a little more on edge about this game. But I think as long as we get a Paige or Sarah combination, AZ or Sarah combination, however you want to combine it, I think we need 2 of them to have good games, and then some contributions in other places, whether it's defensively or in the boards, because you know what, today's game is going to be one in that kind of trenches area.
No, I agree. And what's crazy as we go is sometimes if you only get 1 of 2 or even 2 of 3, you sometimes get the Ashlyn Shade game where she drops 27 against Iowa State, or you can get a combination of contributions. So as Gino has said, it's a different year. He looks down at the bench and he has options. So go enjoy yourself. Have a great time. Call a great game, and we'll be looking for you.
Appreciate it.
That's all we have for you today. Go Huskies. Win that game.